Hello, Sweet But Fearless Nation. I'm Mary Sullivan, one of the co-founders of Sweet But Fearless, and your host today. As we celebrate uplifting women and building a supportive community, we reflect on the need to ensure that we are taking care of our own health, wealth, and mental well-being so that we can be the best for ourselves and then for others. Learning new skills, sharpening specific behaviors, and being intentional with our learning is a unique journey for many of you, our listeners, but also our guests. We believe that by hearing our guest journeys, you will find some nuggets of wisdom, some tips to help you get out of a rut, or some inspiration to help you believe that you are enough. This podcast is all about empowering frontline women leaders just like you, those who are making bold moves, breaking barriers, and defining success on their own terms. Now, if there's one thing I know, it's that success isn't just about what you do, it's about who you surround yourself with. And today we are surrounding ourselves with Linda Hunt. She is the founder of SumSolutions and the author of The Money Conversation: Speak the Truth, Set the Standard, Get Paid Without Apology. Linda helps service-based entrepreneurs build the financial and operational structure that sustains their brilliance. With a background in corporate and as an early pioneer of remote accounting services, she brings decades of financial and operational expertise, paired with a deep understanding of how structure, clarity, and nervous system capacity shape sustainable business success. Well, we're going to hear about more about how that relates to you, our frontline listener. So thank you, Linda, so much for joining us today.
Mary, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to talking with you. You have such wonderful energy.
Yay! Well, that's because our listeners deserve it, right? I figure if they take the time to subscribe, pay attention, and follow us, they deserve great guests like you. And that's what I know they'll get today. So, Linda, tell us a little bit about your background. How'd you get started in this wonderful, right, service-based entrepreneur and helping everybody, but coming from corporate like most of us?
Correct.
Yeah,
So I am a corporate dropout. I know you and I had that
yeah,
conversation
yeah.
offline. Yeah, I am a corporate dropout, and basically my entrepreneurial journey started with. If anyone read The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, it's an oldie but goodie. I had what he refers to as an entrepreneurial seizure, and I jumped feet first into entrepreneurship. And my background, so I am a trained accountant, right? That is what I went to school for. That is what I was in corporate, doing all that stuff. I'm not a CPA, but I am an accountant. And I want everyone to know that I didn't start with a clean relationship to money.
Yeah.
And everything
Mhm.
that I lived, the exact patterns that I made the mistakes of in my business,
Yeah, yeah.
I saw, and I now see in so many businesses, right? So my journey started with underpricing, over delivery, over explaining, taking rejection personally,
Oh, yeah.
working constantly, right?
Mhm.
And still not creating the financial stability that I expected. So yes, I was an early pioneer. This will date me, but I started my business back at the 1998. I was one of the first remote accounting services businesses right out
Wow.
there. And that was before the internet,
Hmm.
if you can imagine this, did not support remote businesses. I mean, we
Yeah.
used to have a courier who used to
Yeah.
come pick up the documents and like deliver them to our clients. Anyway, because of that, I learned that communication and having structure and process is really, I learned it's a hard way. And we can get into all of that, but I learned that that was the basis of a really solid business. And once I started to understand that, things started to get easier. They started to get easier. Yeah.
Well, Linda, when you started, right, you were in corporate, have this wonderful background, just like you said, hey, we go to school or we go to college or vocational to learn the skills, the trade that we need in order to launch us, right? And what we're doing. And then we realize, man, that's not what I want to be doing the rest of my life. But there are many things we do learn from
Mhm.
that journey. And I'd love to just spend a few minutes in that space of
Sure.
what did you learn and what are transferable skills from your
Absolutely.
time in corporate that you brought to yourself, you know, to your own business in
Yeah,
entrepreneurship?
and that's such a fabulous question, Mary, because I think that is one of the things that no matter what we're doing in life, those skills
Mm,
are transferable and we
that's
just
right.
kind of take it for granted. So
Yeah.
one of the things, one of the abilities that I had was taking account, most people kind of gloss over when we talk about numbers, right?
Yes.
Especially, and a lot of my work interacted with marketing, the corporate
Yeah.
marketing department, and they were just like, when I started talking about numbers, they would glaze over like a deer in headlights.
Mhm.
One of my unique abilities was able to disseminate the information in a way that they could understand it and also make them understand because corporate marketing, I found this more so than working with marketing entrepreneurs. Corporate marketing really didn't care about giving you the information that you needed, right, to move to get them what they needed. They were just like, figure it out. So it was more about giving them the why. So
Mhm.
I learned how to communicate and give them the why because when I started my accounting business, the one thing I was able to do was because people didn't want to pay for bookkeeping. They didn't think it was a value add. It had that stigma, right? It's
Mhm.
non-revenue
Mhm.
producing. But I help them understand that this is vital to your business. Your numbers tell the story. The
Mhm.
numbers are your numbers are your history, and it's going to show you patterns. And those patterns are going to help us uncover where we need to make corrections or make different decisions. And that was, I think, my biggest transferable skill.
Wow. I mean, really just explaining that in a storytelling way obviously relates to a marketer, right? Because that's what they want to hear, the story, the why, how can I paint a picture with it? And you just
Yes.
did by telling us
Thank
all
you.
that numbers tell the story. That's our history, right? You could see the patterns, you could see the ups
Correct.
and downs. You know where to invest going forward, right? You follow the pattern
You
or you
follow the
or you
pattern.
change it, right? If you don't like it, you change it.
Right, because most business problems are systematic and they're
That's
not
right.
isolated,
That's right.
right? So, for example, pricing. Let's talk about
Mhm.
pricing.
Yeah, let's
And marketing loves pricing, right? So
yeah.
so pricing kind of, I'd say, breaks in three distinct containers. I call them three containers. The first is in the conversation, right? Which is in my book, right? In the money
Yeah.
conversation, this is what we're exploring. We're exploring how your pricing breaks in the conversation. And what I mean by that is, you state your price, but your voice wobbles.
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
you state your price and you have a slight hesitation, right? The other person doesn't say anything right away. So you immediately jump in and fill the silence, right? So those are some examples of
Hmm.
that. Another way pricing breaks is actually inside of the work. So you're starting to deliver your service, but you're over delivering, or you're adding things just to make, quote unquote, make it worth their while, right? So you're over
Justify
justify.
yourself.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
was searching for the right word.
Oh,
Thank you
because
so
I've been
much.
there. That's why I know the word. I've
Yes.
experienced that.
Me too. And
Yeah.
then the last place that pricing breaks is inside the structure, because if you're a service provider and you don't have a consistent delivery structure, you're going to constantly, every client's going to feel different and you're going to
Hmm.
constantly be adjusting on the fly. So one of the things that I stress is that you want to have, and I can hear some of the people in the audience going, but every client's different. Yes and no. Yes and no. 80% of services are repeatable.
Hmm.
And then that last 20%, I like to call it ice cream, right? So let's just call the 80% the vanilla, right?
Yeah.
And then the last, or your whatever favorite
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
ice cream you have. And then the last 20% are your toppings, right? It's your whipped
Hmm.
cream, it's your cherry on top.
Hmm.
That's the uniqueness to that business that you're adapting, but you're following your formula.
Hmm.
So yes. So pricing breaks, and typically what I see is pricing is breaking in more than one of these areas. So if you're having trouble in the conversation, I can guarantee you're having trouble in the structure. And the reason why I say that is because we oftentimes have, and I speak, again, I speak from
Mhm.
experience because I lived this. If you're having trouble articulating your rates and
Mhm.
explaining the transformation, that means you don't fully understand or believe in the transformation that you're providing to your client or prospective client. Yes.
Oh, yes. I teach a course for SCORE,
Okay.
nationwide volunteer organization that
Yes.
helps, yeah, you're familiar with them, small business, and I teach intro to marketing. And one of the things, I only have like a couple slides on pricing because we have a whole workshop on pricing alone. But one of the things I talk about in the intro to marketing is don't let it, paralyze you from moving forward. Find a price you're comfortable with, lead with that, practice it, implement it, charge
Yes.
it, and then get your feedback. But don't hesitate to get started.
Correct.
Because so
Yes.
many people just freeze and then they don't launch their business or
Yes.
negotiate a salary, whatever it may be. They don't
Yes.
leave their job in corporate for a different job because they're very scared and nervous to have that negotiation
Yes.
or talk about that pricing. And I love your take on it, where you're saying, Linda, hey, you have to believe in it before someone else believes in it.
Correct.
So
Absolutely. And
practice it, practice saying it to someone
yes.
so that you don't have that shakiness or hesitation in your voice
Yes.
when you're saying, hey, I
Yeah.
charge $300 an hour for my personal consulting. Would you like me to send you the link to sign up?
Yeah. There you go. And
Yep.
I love the way
Yep.
you said that. You said that matter of factly,
Yeah.
no emotion.
Yeah.
And you could tell, but see what that does, Mary, is you're instilling confidence.
That's right.
And what I'm perceiving as a potential buyer is, oh, she's done this before. She's been around
Exactly.
the, yeah, she's been
Right.
around the block. Not around
People
the
have
block.
paid that amount. People have
Yeah,
paid that amount.
yes, and maybe they haven't, and maybe they haven't,
Exactly. And you have
but
to be comfortable. That's
you
right. With
have
the
to be
no.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's where we talk about capacity, right? Because we have to build our capacity to hold. And I love how you encourage people to just do it. And it really is
Yeah.
true. Don't worry about getting it perfect because guess what? As entrepreneurs, we are constantly growing. We are constantly changing. It's so funny. I was in a meeting the other day, and this we were IDSing a problem for a co-member of the group, and she's like, "I just want to get my messaging right." And another member said, "Guess what? It's always going to be evolving. You're going to write your copy, and
Yeah.
then something's going to happen, and it's going to evolve because you've evolved." So yeah. So the
Right.
thing is, entrepreneurship, if is a journey. It's not a destination.
Right.
It's just like life.
That's exactly right, Linda. Well, in your book, The Money Conversation, you talk
Mhm,
about speak the truth, set the standard, get
mhm,
paid without apology. But I
mhm.
know you also talk about our relationship with money.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we all have our relationship with money, right? And that is formed on, how we grew up, how
Mhm.
we saw our parents interact with money,
Yep.
how we ourselves interact with money. And the thing is, there are many people out there. There are many, many money mindset coaches, and what and the part that I focus on,
Mhm.
right, is we let me say, I
Yeah.
wanted to go in two different directions, but let me
Yeah.
stop and say this first. The first thing is working on our relationship with money is going to be an ongoing,
Yeah.
lifelong thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
I am someone who did not have a clean relationship with money,
Mhm.
and I work on it myself,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
What I focus on to help you in your business, because we can't wait to get that 100% right and have
Exactly.
our business.
Right.
So where I focus is on creating structure.
Mhm.
And what the money conversation book does is it actually gives you scripts and languaging so
Yeah.
that you can go talk to your customers about renegotiation,
Mhm.
about raising your rates, about stating this is how we get paid. This is how
Mhm.
we provide services. Because the most important thing, and I arbitrarily did this for myself. I wrote a script, I memorized it, and I kept practicing it. And then I noticed, oh, people are saying yes. And it didn't mean I didn't get nervous, Mary. I still
That's
got
right.
nervous, but I had a process to
That's
fall
right.
back on. And what happened over time is I built up confidence. So I
Mhm.
kind of approach it a little bit different than them. And I'm not, and by no means am I saying don't do the money mindset work, because we all
Yeah.
have those limiting beliefs. But what I'm saying is at the same time, you can practice, and these are practical tools that are going to move you forward. And then if you're doing the money mindset work, guess what? You're going to propel. So you're going to do it all at the same time. So,
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you that question, Linda, because I know you take that practical approach. And I wanted our listeners to hear that because I don't want them to only think that, well, you just change your mindset and it's all golden.
no.
Maybe I can't change my mindset. Maybe it is so ingrained in me, I can't change it. But yes, if you give me a process, I can follow it, or a
Yeah.
script, I can read it,
Yes.
I can practice it, and I can do
Yes.
better than I did before. And
Very
that's all we're asking people is to, for you, I know that's what you're doing, is help them improve a little bit.
correct.
I think so many times, truly, we think, oh, if I do this, I will change my whole approach. And I'm like, look, it is not going to change my whole approach. But if I can move it a little bit,
Yes.
I can make a difference. And that's
Yes.
why I really loved your book and your approach to things, because
Thank you.
it's not about throw this out and put this in.
Right. No,
It's
it's
about
not. It's not.
improve, improve. Yeah, little
It's
steps.
improved, and it really is meeting you where you are. It
Exactly.
really is meeting you
So,
where you are. And
so
again, this comes back from my lived experience, right?
that's right.
Because here's the thing, money mindset is a sneaky little thing, because you may not think you have a limiting belief, but you're operate
We do.
like
We do.
off. What I've learned is, because I approach it from a practical standpoint,
Mhm.
my limiting beliefs sometimes get uncovered. Like
Yeah.
here's a prime example. How many times do we say, I really want that new client, but, or
Mhm.
how about, I really want that new client and I want them to, I don't know, follow my process.
Right.
Just using like our default is but, which is a negative.
That's right.
That is so simple. And I have become conscious of that,
Mhm.
right? And but I did not realize I was doing it, right?
Just
So
in the sentence, and start a new one. That's the easiest habit
exactly,
to break the butt.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what I'd like to also share is structure creates freedom.
Yeah.
Structure creates freedom, because as an entrepreneur, we are now wearing many hats. When we were in corporate, there was
Mhm.
structure,
Yeah.
and you had a process. It may not have been a great process, but there was a process there. As a
Mhm.
business owner, you are creating all of these processes yourself. And when the processes have gaps in them, they have holes, they may not be fully fleshed out. You may not be clear on the end result. Guess what happens? It all falls back on you, the founder.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
whether you're a solopreneur, so that's another reason why we feel exhausted.
Yeah.
I promise you, you create the structure, you get clear on the outcome that you want, and then you create the process. And the process doesn't, again, have to be perfect. You just sketch out 5 steps, and
Mhm.
then you work it. You work the process, or you would delegate it to someone, and you say, give me feedback. What didn't work?
Right.
I just hired a couple months ago. I hired an executive assistant. She's fabulous, and I actually, I had so many things in my head, so many things going on. I made it. I didn't make a mistake, but I actually was like, oh, I don't think this is going to work out. And it had nothing to do with Chelsea,
Yeah.
my wonderful assistant. It had to do with me not being clear on how I was going to delegate to her and how I was going to know she was successful. So process applies to everything. And
Right.
she and I worked it out. We created a great process. We're in the second month, and we have right sized just about everything. So now we can then move forward and add more tasks and responsibilities. And yeah, we're both excited about that. But it's the structure created freedom for her, and it created freedom for me, because I don't have to live there and she doesn't have a boss who's micromanaging her.
And when you created that structure, like you said, it's easier to see where there might be holes or pitfalls
Yes. Yes.
because you go through each step and then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, that's solid. Ooh, this one's a little wobbly.
Yes.
What can
Yes.
we do about that one?
Yes.
One
Yes.
of the questions that I asked Linda in our pre-call was, what's your unique superpower?
Oh
So
gosh.
I would love to ask that one now because I want that answer. I know what it is, but I want you to really share with us because not only does it come out in your book, but it comes out in the way you interact with your clients. So, what is your unique superpower?
I think my unique superpower is being able to see the patterns, right? Yeah, you're putting me on the spot here, Mary. I actually think my superpower is being able to see the patterns that are existing. So whenever I'm
Mhm.
working with a client, probably the easier way for me to explain this is if you had come to me and you're saying, "Hey, I'm really having trouble, raising my rates with
Mhm.
my clients, right? I don't know how
Yeah.
to do this. I know my number."
Mhm.
Basically, what I will do is help. I won't tell you what it is, but I will create the condition
Yeah.
so I call myself catalyst, a catalyst. Yes, because I create the conditions for you to uncover what you already know.
A
So that is
clarity catalyst.
clarity catalyst.
There
Yes.
you
So
go.
that is my superpower because I am able to help you see what you already know.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, I will give you some tips and
Yeah.
guidance and advice and all that other fun stuff. But inherently, we know what's going on. So I create that fertile
Mhm.
groundwork and give you some frameworks that allow that to emerge because what's happening is those frameworks are allowing your nervous system to relax and feel safe. And when our nervous systems relax and feel safe, guess what happens? Our capacity grows so we can hold more. We can hold that higher price. We can hold more clients and we're not hustling. Yeah.
Right. The reason I wanted you to share that is because that is a true superpower in the sense that businesses need it, entrepreneurs need it, corporate needs it. Every frontline leader, whether it's your own business or you're leading it for someone else, needs to have that type of clarity in
Yes.
order to be successful. And if you don't have it from within and you need a little help, then you need to reach out to Linda because everybody needs to have it in some way, shape, or form in what they're doing to be successful. And some, like you said, some it's just there. They could see their own patterns, but some of us, I know I can't until it's pointed out to me sometimes, right? Because I'm
Something, yeah,
so much into it. I'm so busy in the details. I don't have the capacity to
correct.
step back and see that bigger picture and to see those patterns. And I certainly don't have the framework.
Right, right. And that,
Yeah.
but I think when we allow ourselves a moment, right? So I
Yeah.
am a firm believer of clarity breaks, right?
Yeah.
Because if we
Moment to
don't give
think.
ourselves the space, we are
Yeah.
not going to be able to recognize those. And here's the thing I want to let everybody know. You don't need to know everything. What you
Right.
need to know is what you're good at, and then allow other people to help you. And I say that with a caveat because
Mhm.
I understand that sometimes we need help in our business and the financials, the budget's not
Yeah.
there.
Sure.
But a lot of the work, and if you follow me on social media or
Mhm.
whatever, I talk about that. I talk
Yeah.
about let's start where we are, right?
Mhm.
Um, Start with where we are. There's always a solution. Everything is figure outable, to quote Marie Florio. I believe
Yeah.
she came up with that phrase,
Yeah.
catchphrase many years ago, and I've always loved it. But it's true. Everything is figure outable, and we
Yeah.
start where we are.
Mhm.
We start where we are.
I love it. And I bet that accounting background really helps with that. Because if you start listing the numbers, both historically and futuristically, then you start to see where there is some wiggle room or money or budget or things you can delay or things you can do this and this to where you can spend the money where it needs to be spent. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's also a critical component, right? Is spending the
Yes.
money in the right places.
Spending the money in the right places.
Is
Yes.
yeah,
And sometimes, even an accountant
yeah.
is guilty of not spending it in the right places.
Just like doctors are guilty of not
Oh,
taking all their
yes.
vitamins, right? I mean, we all need that extra nudge. Well,
Yeah.
Linda, what's one last piece of advice? You've given
Yeah.
us so much, but what's one last piece of advice you'd like to leave for our sweet but fearless listeners?
I would love them to know that money problems are rarely just math problems, right? So They could be a boundary issue. They could be pricing discomfort. They could be, undercharging, exhausting, nervous system relationship to money.
Mhm.
Money problems are rarely math problems because we all know how to do basic math. We all know our number,
Right.
and there's just something else going on underneath. And give yourself the grace to just recognize it and then find some help to help you move forward. So,
Love it. Love it. Thank you so, so much, Linda. And definitely, we will put all of Linda's information. Please follow her on social media. We'll put all the links in the show notes so you can easily access it and learn more from Linda. Buy her book, but also learn more from her and see if she's the right fit for your business, right? To help you. Like we said in the intro, maybe you're in a rut. Maybe you're looking for inspiration. Well, this can potentially help you. Linda was chosen because she's right in alignment with our season of alignment. Our goal to help you sift through all of the information and the noise out there and get what you need with clarity at your fingertips. On our website, you can find multiple ways to engage with us. On our LinkedIn, you can find our workshops and other things going on, all created with you at the center. You choose how to engage with us, virtually, in person, online, whatever it is, we'll meet you where you are because we define success as helping you accelerate your career growth and bring that clarity on your journey. We celebrate your talents and we applaud your courage. Remember, we're with you on this journey, sometimes in front, sometimes behind, but always by your side. Until next time, Fearless Nation.